Alexander Canario is now going to AAA Iowa after just mashing his way through high A and double A this season. 31 home runs. That's second most in all of minor league baseball. Only, ironically, of course, it's a fucking Cardinals prospect that has more. But we'll get to see him in AAA. He'll be up in Iowa now. He'll be doing that. Also worth noting, we'll probably keep an eye on this over the next few days. With Canario's spot in Double A opening up, we'll probably see a promotion from High A ball. I know Greg Huss, hopefully future friend of the program. I think he said Jordan Wogu, who is a Cubs on Tap friend of the program, might be the first guy to get a call up to Double A. So that would be pretty cool as well. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that without a doubt. But, gentlemen, and we'll start with Tyler, and then we'll go to Joey, and then I'll give my 2 cents. As Jeremiah says here in the comments, will we see Alexander Canario this season? And by where we see him, I mean, will we see him at the major league level? Tyler, your thoughts?
I thought, like, one of the more interesting things about Joey's article was the dude's 20 for 23 on stolen bases.
Speedy
Didn't know that. Yeah. But what it sounds like, he's going to end up being like, what, a corner outfielder?
Yeah,
and
probably a left fielder.
I don't know if we'll see him like in September. I mean, it'd be cool. Yeah, that the whole power speed combo. I mean, what's there not to be excited about with him?
I agree. I mean, that's the thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, because when you look on Twitter, even if you just are scrolling down the timeline or you search his name, you see the big, massive power, right? You see the multi-homer games. You see, like me and Ron, we've talked about, he hits balls in places where the fans are still looking for the ball after he hits it and it's not landed yet. You haven't seen it land, and you probably will never see it land because the camera angle's cut off in the minor league level. So it's just kind of one of those things. But he's got the massive power, but the stolen base upside is there. He's got the wheels, and I think like the numbers don't show that he's probably best in a quarter spot. But if you have like a PCA coming through your system, a Brian Davis, a Kevin Alcantara, like those guys seem to be better center fielders defensively. But to the question of will he be there this year or not, there's an outside chance, I think, because he is on the 40-man. So like, depending on what you're going to maneuver around, or somebody goes on the IL, or you could do like a phantom IL stint, or just because of the expansions of the rosters, like I could see him potentially being brought up. It's just there's a lot of spots now, even with Ortega on the roster. And I'm not saying don't call him up in favor of Ortega, but like guys like Nelson Velasquez, Christopher Morel, those guys need spots to play. Morel could play infield, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him at this year, but I feel like he's got to see some advanced pitching, even at AAA, because those are the guys that have, in my opinion, a little bit better control. Yeah. I wouldn't say they have better stuff than the AA guys, but they just have better control and command. So see what he does at AAA, and if he still is looking like he's figured out the strikeout rate like he did at the AA level. I mean, 26% is not like low, but it's lower than what he was doing at high A. So if he still has that figured out, I mean, fuck it, dude. We need that slugging. Like the Cubs need that slugging big time.
Yeah, I just hope. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I hope they don't look at his power numbers and be like, hey, dude, we just want you to focus on that and not necessarily the stolen bases, because it sucks. Like you saw it with I hate to say his name, but you saw it with Christian Yelich. You saw it with we're kind of seeing it now with Ronald Acuna, as far as like 30 40 guys, but then like they get hurt or whatever, and they're like, we're paying you this much, or hey, you just got hurt, so how about you stop running the bases like you did last year or whatever. I hope they don't do it. Let him play his game if that's his game. Don't change, you hit 20 plus home runs this year, so let's focus on the home runs. So hopefully they don't do that. And you named off, like you just said, Joey, we've got like you named off 4 outfielders that are coming up, and we're going to have several more. And at first, when you write them all down, you're like, oh shit, we're going to have so many outfielders, just 3 spots. But like we've seen at the beginning of this year, injuries have been a freaking,
Yep.
death note to us this year. So I'm not worried about, oh my gosh, we have 8 different outfielders that could possibly, who's going to, we had the same issue at the beginning of this year. So I'm not worried about that because, too much is better than not enough anyways. And who's to say one of them doesn't pan out?
Right.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, I think, just overall with Canario, I'm actually very excited that he's getting the call to AAA. Obviously, he's earned it. Sure, maybe the average isn't where people would like it to be, but obviously the slugging alone is certainly worth him getting up and getting another look. I also like that it frees up a chance for one of the South Bend guys to potentially get a look at some more advanced pitching as well by moving up to AA. So I think just overall the transaction certainly helps the Cubs and the minor leagues and some of their depth. But I feel like I've done such a good job at this on the show that I'm just going to keep I'm going to be the pin that pricks the balloon here. No, we're not going to see him this year. And the reason we're not going to see him this year is because Jed Hoyer did not do what Billy Beane did with Carlos Pena and Moneyball and send him to the fucking sun with Rafael Ortega. As long as Ortega's on the roster, you will not see Alexander Canario this season. Instead, we will sit here and daydream about what it would look like watching Canario and Franmil Reyes go back-to-back, sending balls over the wall onto Waveland. No, instead, you're going to watch Rafael Ortega ground out with the bases loaded a few more times this year, folks. I'm just really in a salty mood. This is very rare. We got sour juice. I don't know. The loose is not loose. I don't know what this would be considered.
The loose is not loose.
Very salty tonight.
Hey, Ron, I got a question for you. And it's for you too, Tyler. Well, it's a 2-part. Double banger here. So I know you're taught not to do this in the media if you're asking press questions, but this is a podcast question. Yeah. We're a round table. We're not doing that. All right. First question. Do you get pissed off like I do and people I know do when Rafael Ortega actually does well now? When he hits a home run, are you fuck, that's justification for the decision.
We're going to see him again.
Yeah. Do you guys, is that a thing? That's the first question. And then,
no, because every blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
I agree with what you guys, Joey, you or Juice said it last week. Ortega's got to have something on Ross. Has to. Has to have something on Ross. Must have a picture. Caught him doing something. I don't know. He's got to have something on him. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it sucks because then it's oh my gosh, he had a home run even though he was 0 for 55 before that. But now we're going to see him tomorrow we're going to have a runner on second with down by 1 and we're 2 outs in the 9th. Oh, let's get Ortega up.
I think what happened was he banged Ortega's girlfriend or wife. I'm not sure which one. I don't know if he's married. And he feels like shit now about it. And that's
maybe he bought PEDs from Pujols. Ortega just happened to see the exchange. I don't know.
We are completely down. We're off the rails now completely. Let me go back to my second
blowing the roof off.
Second part of my question. I'm kidding completely about that, by the way. Second question, if they couldn't tell that. Second question was, who's first next season if Canario doesn't get the call this season, which I think he's more likely this season. We're not seeing Brennan Davis, but next season, opening day, or whoever's first between Brennan Davis and Alexander Canario, because I feel like now they are on kind of similar timelines.
Tyler, go ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Canario first, however you say his name, because I wouldn't be shocked if they played the whole. Wait a minute, is that rule still out with as far as the guys? Is they don't have
time?
Yes,
I have no idea anymore.
If the service time rule.
They negated it a little bit. It's different to the penalties aren't
changed
really,
a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked to see them squeeze as much of that as they can to keep him in the minors as long as they can. Wouldn't shock me at all if they did that with Brennan Davis. So yeah, I'm going to go with Canario comes up first.
All right.
But I don't think he makes the opening day roster.
Ron?
I still think we see Brendan Davis first. I really do. And I think a reason for that might just be the K rate for Canario. I know he's worked on it and it's improved, and I'm not going to argue that. He has improved that K rate. It's come down substantially from what it was. But at the same time, I feel like Brendan Davis has been around the system just much longer, and they've groomed him more, and they kind of know what they're getting with him. And I think because he has been that marquee prospect for the Cubs for so long, they want to give him the shot first, and kind of get an idea of where he's going to fit. I mean, to be completely truthful, depending on what the Cubs do in the offseason, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them both at the same time. To be completely ideal. Like, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. I think Canario this year definitely makes that question a harder question to answer, because even as recent as not even a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I probably still would have confidently said Davis. But now it certainly throws a wrench in, but I do still think Davis still has a slight edge. I'm really intrigued to see what he does now with South Bend and then subsequently with AAA Iowa the rest of the season, and if he at least hits semi well, because admittedly, if you look at his numbers in a vacuum this year, they're not good. But in fairness, he's only played like 27 total baseball games this year. Yeah. So small sample size, kind of hard to know what you're doing.
And he was hurting before I think he even went on the IL.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where like you don't even know if he was going to like turn it around or get hot or whatever. So I'm still going to say Davis, because I think he's so much more of a known commodity for the Cubs because he's just been in their system for so long. And again, especially coming into spring training, like the first game we saw him and he went from like scrawny Brendan Davis to like grown man Brendan Davis. Yeah, like I think we still see him first, but I don't think it's going to be by long. I really
and he did it the right way. He did it the right way.
Unlike somebody,
no PEDs.
Not going to say who.
Like unlike Uncle Al Pujols.
Yeah, but like you said, though, I think a lot of it does depend on what we do in the offseason, because there's been so many speculations and rumors about what could happen with, like, signing a shortstop. And if we sign a shortstop, where does Nico go? Does he go to second? Or does he go to the outfield? Because there was talks about him playing center at the beginning of the year, like last offseason, as far as learning the position. Could we sign Aaron Judge? I don't know. I doubt it. But, it all depends on if we decide to spend more money this offseason and who we get and all that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you what, I know we're going to talk about this a lot, and we want to get to tomorrow's preview and all that. We're going to talk about this a lot as we move forward here. But there's a guy, as we keep talking here, I keep thinking about it too. The only outfielder that I would really want to see, I would love to see Aaron Judge. I just don't think it's going to happen. Another right-handed hitter. He's a slugger. I mean, you could make all kinds of moves to get him in place and not worry about the rest. Mm-hmm. But I think Franmil Reyes could come back next year. I
hope he does.
Yeah, so I would love to see that in place. You got Nelly V out there who still has a lot of power. You look at his barrel rate metrics, his hard hit rate. Like, that guy, he's going to hit bombs. He's going to hit bombs. That's what he's going to do at least. Mm-hmm. There's two slugging guys right there, right? From the right side of the plate. You've got Morel. I'm just trying to figure out this roster here. I think a left-handed hitting outfielder, kind of like Ian Happ, but with less power maybe than Happ. I don't know if the stats really show a lot that he has like less this season, but like a very strong on-base guy could probably lead off for this team. Brandon Nimmo would make a ton of sense next season in center field. And then you make I don't think that's going to cost you too much, maybe like $12 million. I'm hoping against the cap, or against not the cap, but the luxury tax. Right, whatever. AAV wise, I don't know. That's what Spotrac, I think, don't quote me on that. I think they had him at like 12 million AAV. You have him in there. You get a big fucking shortstop signing, second base, third base, wherever you want to move them. I don't care where they play. One big infielder signing, one big starting pitching signing, and a Brandon Nimmo type deal at like $12 million a year or whatever. That's which would not be that huge. This team's rolling, man. Like this team is set up to go next year. And I don't even know. I'm not saying World Series, but they're set up to do damage next year. And I don't know. I feel like Brandon Nimmo, there was very much a lot of depth in the outfield, like coming through the system. But like you said, Tyler, you can't bank on them. You can't just sit here and say, hey, when they come up, they're going to be stars, because we've seen it with Velasquez. We've seen it with Morel and his adjustments as he's had to make. We've seen it with Seiya Suzuki and the adjustments he's had to make, even as a veteran from Japan. Like, I know it's a different culture and everything, but these guys come up here.
It's not the old saying. It's just like the old saying goes: a prospect is just a prospect until they're not.
Yep, exactly right. So I think that's why I would like them to make 2 big splashes and 1 very, very above average splash. If you
this offseason is going to be fun to talk about. There's so many possibilities.
One final thought on that point, Joey, here about this team being ready to roll. The Cubs are kind of shaping up in a way that if they have a similar offseason to what this team did, I think they could roll in a similar manner, and that is the Seattle Mariners. I think that's a team that you're seeing where they had a lot of kids come up. Julio Rodriguez came up and's been hot. Ty Francis had a big year. Robbie Ray was their big pitching signing. Like, kind of in that same ballpark of a team that was like, people thought we're going to be better this year, but I think they've surprised a lot of people.
And then look at the guys. Look at, like we're talking. That's a perfect example, Ron. Perfect fucking example. Look at Jared Kelnick. He keeps coming up and keeps getting sent down. Keeps coming up and keeps getting sent down. They've got guys who are coming up and producing, and then guys that come up and down.
Look at their rookie of the year in 2020 with Kyle Lewis. He's not even playing.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Isn't he back now? No, he's not back now?
He's in AAA. Like,
okay.
So he's got like a knee. He had a knee issue or something like that. But he's basically, I read an article where he's basically been told that like he's not the center fielder that he was in 2020 or something like that. It is an interesting read.
Well, J-Rod's just a monster out there anyway. So
yeah.